Hello everybody, it's Miss Hull here. Thank you very much to all those children who sent their letters inviting different royal families to the Ice Palace. That was quite a tricky writing task last week, but we were so pleased with the children that got in touch. I was really thrilled because Hashim included a menu and it sounded like we were getting some delicious food when we got to the Ice Palace. I hope you all enjoyed learning about the royal family last week and you all had a lovely VE day, even though as a country we celebrated it quite differently to what we would have done if we'd have all been allowed out. Now this week I'm even more excited about our writing because we're going to be looking at character descriptions, and not only that, our theme for this week is myths and monsters. And I know a lot of you know me well enough now to know that I love anything that's mysterious. I like anything that's a little bit freaky or a little bit different. And a lot of that comes back to my love of J.K. Rowling's Harry Potter, because she uses a lot of mythical creatures and monsters. So I'm going to talk to you about a really exciting activity we'd like you to have a go at this week. But first, we're going to look through our spellings for this week. So our first spelling this week is regular, recent, rain, remember, special, separate, sentence, straight. Go through those and try say them at home. You might also want to look at the word rain and think about what makes that word a little bit different here, how else you know that word and what else is it's used for, and maybe why it was important in last week's topic. I've been really impressed by the children sending in their spelling work. Simon in particular has been practicing her handwriting through these spellings, so she's doing two activities in one, which is brilliant. Okay, I've put here the same spelling activities and games as last week because there's a lot for you to do there, and again you'll notice the pause point, so feel free to pause and go away and play some of these. But just as a reminder, spelling snap, you just need to create yourselves some cards just like I have. Create quite a few sets of the same spellings and then you can play with someone in your house until you get the same spelling and then you all shout snap. Spelling rainbow, just use lots of different coloured pens and you choose a different colour for each letter. Search for the spelling. If you remember, you go and hide the cards around your house. Then when you find the card, you only get to keep it if you can spell the word correctly when you're not looking at it. Speedy speller, see how fast you can spell the words and make sure they're correct and you keep your handwriting. And potluck, this was where you use your maths number pot from last week or from this week's maths, and you number all of your spellings and pull out a number. If you get the number 3, you'd have to spell rain because you've got 1, 2, 3. Okay, have a go at those across the week and keep sending through any work you're doing on spellings. We're really loving receiving them. Okay, character descriptions. So what you might not have realised, and something I realised this week, is that you're probably surrounded by character descriptions without even knowing it. If you've ever played Top Trumps, or you've got Match Attacks cards, or you have used quite a lot of video games, there at the beginning there is a start point where your character has a little profile or a file, just like on here. I've got some Simpsons Top Trumps that I didn't know I had, and on here there's some character descriptions, and it's written differently. It says character file, it says something else, but it is basically using the skills we're going to ask you to use in writing today. If you've got Pokemon cards, it might say something similar. Same with Match Attacks, and the same with your video games when you're introduced to a new character. So we thought it would be a really nice idea for you to use this and create your own pack of cards using character descriptions for myths and monsters. So we're going to have a look first at the picture we've got for this week. And mine is on my laptop, so I'm just going to move it so you can see it. There you go. Okay, so this picture here, I hope you all know the legend and the myth surrounding this character. If you don't, maybe you could go away and research it. This is a picture of Robin Hood, and he's quite famous. There is a Disney film sort of charting his story, but the legend is quite commonly retold as a story, and he travels through the woods and has his band of merry men with him, and he's known for stealing from the rich to give to the poor. Okay, there's lots of detail there in that picture, and we're going to use that as we plan our character description. Now, I'm going to put my laptop down, but I'm still going to make sure I can see it so that when we do our character description, I'm keep checking back to that picture, and you can do the same at home. So, I know I've done this before with quite a lot of Year 4. When you are writing a character description, it's a really good idea to start your ideas off with a census circle, because you can split up what you're trying to say and when. So we use our 5 senses. We use sight, smell, hear, touch and taste. And we're going to use it based on that picture. So in the picture, Robin Hood was holding his bow and arrow really taut, ready to fire. So what could he see then? If he's trying to fire an arrow, maybe he could see an enemy. Maybe if he's in the forest or the woods, he could see another creature or a predator. Maybe he was just using target practice. Maybe it was just target practice and he was aiming for a tree or a flower. And if we're thinking there about long distance, certainly in front of him, he'll be able to see the very tip of the arrow. So straight away, we have lots of ideas around his sight, and then we can move on. What could he smell? Well, if you're down in the woods, if you're in the forest, you'll certainly be able to smell lots of flowers. He might have a wooden bow, so maybe he can smell the wood from the bow. Maybe he can smell damp earth. Maybe it's just rained and he can smell the damp soil and earth under his feet. Okay, and again, you can keep working on it and keep practicing, and you get the idea, you fill it in. We'll look at touch and then we'll move on to these added extras. So in terms of touch, I can see on that picture Robin Hood is holding that bow really taut, so he'll be able to feel, he'll have a grip on the wood, on the wooden bow. I think in his other hand, his fingertips will have the string from the bow pulled really, really tight. So he might have a really, on his fingertips, he might be able to feel the string from the bow, and maybe it's digging into his fingertips because he's pulling it so tight. Yeah? He doesn't just touch or feel with his fingers though, and his hands. He's knelt down on top of a rocky ledge. So maybe his knees can feel the cool, it looks quite smooth, I'll say smooth, the cool, smooth rock that he's balanced on. Okay? Now, once you've worked your way around your census circle and you've got some ideas in there, you might also want to think about the character's feelings and emotions and actions and movements. So, how would Robin Hood be feeling at this point? I think there'd be quite a mixture. I think if you're holding that bow so tight. You have to be quite calm and ready to fire. But at the same time, you might be anxious or nervous. You might be able to hear your heartbeat thudding, which again fits in to the census circle up here, but it's part of your feelings as well. And in terms of actions and movements, he's got to go from being incredibly still to fire the bow, to moving swiftly, especially if he's firing at an enemy or a predator. So he's incredibly still, and again you can develop that even further, to all of a sudden moving swiftly, and he probably needs to be quite light on his feet. And quite speedy as he runs. Okay. Now I've got some ideas, and you can take a lot longer to work your way through this. I did complete a character description for Robin Hood before I really thought about some ideas. So I'm going to take a look at it now, because I do think really I could improve it now, and this is where we can all work together and you can help. So I don't know how well you can see it, but I created my own little card for Robin Hood. I've got his picture here, and then I've got some attributes that I've put with him. So I've said that his bravery is 10 out of 10, his heroism is 8 out of 10, agility 9 out of 10, and compassion 8 out of 10. Again, when you do your character description and your trading card for Robin Hood, you can adapt these attributes, you can change the numbers, you can think about, actually, is he brave or not? Is he a hero or not? It's entirely up to you. I'm going to share with you what I wrote, because I think some of the ideas are good, but I think some of the ideas can be improved now we've got the census circle. So, forest dweller Robin Hood is difficult to spot in his camouflaged outfit. You might hear the arrow whoosh from his bow as it passes you at the speed of light, always hitting its target. But where is he? All you glimpse is a blur of green disappearing swiftly into the trees. Hood only has to sniff to smell the wealth of the rich before he steals it to give to the poor. His band of merry men are always in on the plan and love sharing the riches around the poor and penniless. Hood's world is dangerous, though. The evil Sheriff of Nottingham is hunting him down like a wolf. Robin Hood cannot let his guard down. He must remain a myth amongst the trees. Okay, so there's some ideas there, but I do think I could now improve it with my census circle. So as we look at writing our character description, I am going to go through and just highlight some places where I've already used these sorts of sentences and just not really thought it through and needs just a bit of improvement. So you might hear the arrow whoosh. I might want to keep using that, and I've got a hearing one then. All you glimpse, so that's all you see, but you only see it slightly. It's a blur of green disappearing swiftly into the trees. And then here, a smell one. Hood only has to sniff to smell the wealth. So there's lots of ideas that I do quite like, and I still really like the beginning. I like the fact that I've called him a forest dweller. He lives in the forest. He comes from the forest. But I'm going to just adapt how I write. And it might be that in the margin, you want one sentence for what you can see, one for what you can smell, then one for what you can hear, then his taste, then his touch. Let's work on a touch sentence together, and then I'm going to leave the rest for you to do at home. So I'm going to start with forest dweller. Robin Hood, and introduce him straight away. And then a touch sentence. Forest dweller, Robin Hood. I'm going to keep looking at that picture as well. I might say I might use his knees first. I might start from the bottom of his body and work up. Crouches low on the cool, smooth rock he is knelt upon. So I've done a touch sentence straight away. Might be that I want to go on to a smell sentence. So I might think, okay, forest dweller Robin Hood crouches low on the cool, smooth rock he is knelt upon. He can smell the damp earth below him as he inhales ready to strike. And now I'm suggesting that something else is going to be happening with this character, and that's where you could move on to a sight one, and you could maybe go back to touch and say he's got his grip, he's holding onto his bow, he can hear his predator coming, his feelings, his emotions, his actions, his movements. You've got so many options within a character description. I think it's really exciting, this work this week. I'm going to leave it there because I want you to come up with your own ideas and use a Census Circle and use lots of different inspiration. One thing you might have at home that maybe you've not thought about quite as much is that there'll be things in your house that can help you with myths and monsters. As we all know, I'm a massive fan of J.K. Rowling's Harry Potter, and I've got things like this that have examples of mythical creatures and monsters that she's used within her books and that have been used in the films and things like that. You might have things like that at home that can help. You might have also spotted that the Loch Ness Monster has travelled down from Scotland, and maybe within Robin Hood's forest there is another character and the Loch Ness Monster has taken over a lake within the forest. The more of these cards and characters you work on this week, the easier next week's challenge will be. That's your top tip for you. For now, I'm going to leave you with all this information on character descriptions so that you can have a go at yourselves. As always, email through to us anything that you're doing. We're very excited to see these, and enjoy your learning. Thank you. Bye.